Hey everybody, Fox Rose here, and welcome to Pokemon Colosseum. If you saw us in the last episode, you would know that we were basically catching a ton of Shadow Pokemon, which this is the team so far. We've got a Quagsire, a Mischievous, a Flaffy, a Noctowl, a Skiploom, and a Slugma. And like I said at the beginning of this whole thing, I'm going to be using mainly Shadow Pokemon until they're purified. Anyways, there isn't really much to talk about right now in terms of the gameplay. Anyways, so today I actually had a little bit of something special planned for this whole video, since it's mainly just fetch quest garble at the moment. So what's going to be happening is pretty simple. I'm going to be telling you guys my top 10 favorite Generation 1 and Generation 2 Pokemon respectively. And why am I doing this now? Well, because, well, I want to. And it'll be a perfect little thing since my minor editing program computer actually doesn't want to edit all this, so I'm just gonna leave it in a video and you guys can go from there. And before you ask, I know that those Pokemon that are in this list probably won't come on screen at that moment in time, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put up a little image like I am right now for just my Fox character and a number right next to it, so that way you guys can know which Pokemon is what position in each generation. Alright? Okay. So, coming in at number 10 on Generation 1, we have Venomoth. And why do I like Venomoth so much? Well, it's just a neat little Pokemon, and I personally like its design a lot. Venomoth also, I don't know why it is so cool to me. I just really like Venomoth's design. It's a very simple design, very simple and clean. Is the way that you're making me feel tonight. Sorry. But in all seriousness, I do actually like Venomoth's design. It's very simple and clean, like I was saying. And in the anime, when I was a kid, I actually really enjoyed seeing it in the fight with Ash and Koga. So I guess that really carried over to why I like it so much. But other than that, I don't really have any reasons for liking it. Other than it's my favorite type, which is Bug. So yeah, there you go. Coming in at number 9, we have Tauros, and this is mainly because of the fact that I saw it so much in the anime that I couldn't help but like it for some reason. It was just one of those Pokemon where it was like, I saw it in the show, and I was like, how do you catch that in the game, where, and what do I need to do? And it was just one of those Pokemon where I was like, I need to have this on my team, but ironically enough, I've never had a Tauros on my actual team at any real playthroughs. Ironic, I know. But that's just something I always found a little neat about my little childhood history with Tauros. And yeah, that's about it with Tauros. Coming in at number 8, we have everyone's most groan-inducing Pokemon, Charizard. And why is it that I actually enjoy Charizard so low on the list compared to others? Well, Charizard is just a cool little dragon. I mean, it's nothing major, it's not like it's got 2 Mega Evolutions or anything. But when it comes to the Mega Evolutions, I side Mega Charizard X, especially after the whole one-hit Charizard meme happened. And yeah, Charizard's just a really neat Pokemon that I thoroughly enjoy whenever I get it on my team. In fact, when X and Y first came out, I got X and Y on the day of release. And I couldn't help but be like, I gotta get Torchic, Fennekin, and Charmander, because I knew you could get like the Kanto starters before it actually came out, so that was interesting for me to do, because I've never really done that before. I've never done like a mono-type sort of playthrough, and the EXP share in X and Y was so broken it didn't even matter to me, so yeah, that's why I got so much experience with Charizard, but I didn't actually use it a lot, ironically. Go figure. And son of a bitch, I'm gonna number 7 on my list for Generation 1 is Snorlax, and Snorlax, it's more or less just a childhood goof to me. Otherwise, I don't really see any purpose in enjoying Snorlax. The fact that it's getting its own Z move is actually incredible. And I can't wait to actually use Snorlax's Z move. It's gonna be so funny to watch. Just be like, pounding you! But Snorlax is just a really unique Pokemon to me because it's so big, and it kind of spoke to me as a kid. Like, I couldn't help but feel like this is a Pokemon that I need to have in my life because it's so big and it's so lovable. Because it reminded me a lot of my dad when I was a kid, ironically. My dad's is a really gentle, giant sort of person. And other than that, I don't know why it reminded me of him so much, just that one little thing. But yeah, that's why I like Snorlax. Coming in at number 6, Magmar. Magmar was one of my favorite Pokemon back in the day. And the big reason is because of the fight between it and Charizard. And Blaine's Magmar versus Ash's Charizard is one of the most iconic anime battles in all of Pokemon. In fact, if you're a Pokemon fan, you can't say that you're a Pokemon fan unless you see that fight. You're genuinely like, whoa, this is some hardcore shit. Of course, animation quality wasn't great back then, but for what they had and what they did, it was amazing to watch. And I personally can't get over just what I saw at the time, and I personally love it. So that's why Magmar is number 6 on my list. Coming in at number 5, we have Scyther. And why do I like Scyther? Well, it's pretty simple why I like Scyther. It's got scythes for hands, it is one of the best bug Pokemon in the first generation to this day, and I just love its design. It also reminded me of like a lone wolf sort of character when I was a kid, because of Tracy's Scyther, and I always loved that trope as a kid. I don't know why. I kinda still like that trope nowadays. But anyways, Scyther is just a cool Pokemon that if you're a bug trainer, you gotta have at some point. Even if you don't evolve it to Scizor, you gotta have Scyther at some point, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna take a break from this real brief just so I can do catching of this ferret. Good luck on my way, good luck on my way, good luck on my way. Yes! Alright, so coming in at number 4, we have Lapras. And why do I like Lapras? It's just adorable, and I really love this Pokemon to bits. I loved Ash's Lapras in the anime, even though he got rid of it, the idiot. And if I could choose one Pokemon to have as a swimming buddy for my whole life, it would be Lapras. I just really like Lapras' design, and it's so fucking cute. I can't deny it's too freaking cute. I love it. Okay, stopping the list for a moment because I want to actually read through this. That was it, that lying mirror B. He came up with that fancy, tough-sounding name, Shadow Pokemon, but it was no big deal. You guys be careful too. Don't be played for a sucker. That's about all they'll give you if you win at the Colosseum. Shadow Pokemon? That's what it's called? A Shadow Pokemon? That Pokemon with the black aura. Oh yeah, Mirror B, Mirror B, B. I trust things are going according to plan, Mirror B. Oh yes indeed, Master Nazgul. Our plan is coming along in a lovely, peachy keen way. We have already broken Duke King's spirit. We can do as we please at the Colosseum without his meddling. We've been giving away Shadow Pokemon on the side to challenge winners for gathering data. Good. The others also appear to be doing their parts to implement our plan. Our Shadow Pokemon plan is falling into place quickly. The final phase is not far off. This is perking up my spirit and body. Oh, I feel like dancing. Save your dancing until our plan succeeds. I'm off. Okay then, I shall make my return to the cave where my darling Pokemon await my return. Let the music play! It looks like the Colosseum has a secret. I guess there's no choice but to take part in the battle challenge there. Well, now that we have Ferret, and we need to heal, I gotta go do that. But anyways, while I'm doing this, coming in at number 3 on my Kanto list, Generation 1, I have to choose Parasect. And why Parasect? For one, the lore around Parasect and its origins is just too alluring for me. And for two, I just really like Bug-type Pokemon. And Parasect has one of those vibes for a Pokemon that's just like, oh, that's so weird and creepy, but I like it at the same time. What is going on? It's one of those vibes, if you catch what I mean. And the big thing about the allure of it to me is just what it is. I personally love it to bits because it's a grass bug-type Pokemon. And back when I was doing the recording for this originally, I had said that I personally loved the fact that it was what it was, but I never said why. And that reason is because I was always a big sucker for grass-type Pokemon as a kid, because I could never beat Misty. So what ended up happening was I went and got like Pikachus, Bellsprouts, any grass-type Pokemon or electric-type Pokemon that would help me beat Misty. And I'll help you in a second, dude. I need to go heal. Ugh, fuck you. And, yeah. Yeah, just talking about the gears. Yeah, you shut up. And, I don't know why, just Parasect was one of those Pokemon that I really enjoyed when I first saw it. It was just amazing for me to see. So, yeah. That's why Parasect's number 3 on my list. Coming in at number 2 on my list is my very first starter Pokemon, Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur was, like I just said, my very first starter Pokemon. I got Pokemon Blue when I was a kid, and it was literally the first Pokemon I ever caught. And I don't have that file anymore, or that copy of the game anymore, but I just remember playing Pokemon Blue like crazy, and I can't thank it enough for letting me get into Pokemon, and I'm never going to forget it. It's just one of those Pokemon that's thoroughly ingrained in my mind, and any other Pokemon player that started off with a specific game will know what I'm talking about when I say that. But why is Bulbasaur only number 2 on my list? Well, number 1 on the list will explain that. Coming in at number 1 on my Kanto region, Generation 1 list, is the OG Ghost-type Pokemon, Gengar. And why do I like Gengar so much? I fucking love Gengar. It's just one of those Pokemon where it's like, I need to have it in my life because it is such an amazingly good Pokemon. And I never had anyone to trade with, so I never got to play with Gengar in the games. But I have a Gengar pillow sort of thing. And it was just one of those Pokemon where if you saw it in real life, you'd be like, I'm both terrified and want to be your friend. It was one of those sorts of things, if you know what I mean. Like, imagine meeting your favorite anime villain and they weren't being a villain. It's one of those kinds of vibes, if that makes sense. And I honestly could never think of Gengar as anything but that. And it was just amazing for me to see it. So, I think that's why I like Gengar so much, but other than that, I have these weird dreams, and I'm probably going to talk about that weird dream in one of the future episodes of this series, but for now, that's all on my Kanto region list. Generation 1 was a good time for me. It was what got me into Pokemon, and I was such a freaking nerd. Yeah, Duke King, I can help you, no prob. Real quick, before we actually get started into all this. Yeah, for it's actually getting some stuff done. And we're gonna heal before anything else. So, huzzah. And now, since we have mainly Generation 2 Pokemon on the party, it's actually going to be ironic for the next part of the list, which is Generation 2 Pokemon. And Generation 2... I'm not going to lie, Generation 2 is like my home. Johto region is where I belong if I was ever in the Pokemon games, ever. And nobody can ever take that away from me. It's just one of those things. And... oh god, where do I begin? I just love Generation 2, man. Like, it's the generation that I grew up in. A good chunk of the Pokemon that I ever caught in the games were through that. And ever since I got Colosseum, I always thought of this as, like, showing it off in a much more edgy way with the Pokemon, and I can't thank Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness enough for existing. They make you use specific Pokemon, and in return, you get to have so much fun with them, it's not even funny. So, number 10 for Generation 2 is Magcargo. And you guys will be seeing Magcargo at some point in the future in this series, but I love Magcargo to pieces. It's a fire rock type Pokemon that's actually getting a buff in Sun and Moon. Yes, before the videos got taken down, I did get a good look at the stat videos that Phonics had put up, and I honestly really am amazed at how much love certain Pokemon are getting. But anyways, back to Magcargo. Magcargo, I always thought was just a cute little Pokemon that I could never say its name right. True story, I could never say Magcargo right when I was a kid. Because I always thought it was Magcargo. Like the R and G were like almost one thing at the same time. So I would either say Magcargo or Magcaro. I don't know why. I just never really got the hang of it when I was a kid for saying R and G-O at the same right after each other. So it was one of those weird things that only kids would have a problem with. But Magcargo was just such a goof in the show, and when Generation 2 came out, Pokemon Stadium 2 came out, and it had brought out so much character in Magcargo that I couldn't help but love it. So that's why I like Magcargo so much. Coming in at number 9 is Steelix, and Steelix is number 9 because, in all honesty, it's just a really cool Pokemon. It's not amazing compared to today's standards, especially with its Mega Evolution. Good God, its Mega Evolution is broken. But Steelix is a great Pokemon just because it's got character. It was made from Onix as an evolution, and it got the brand new Steel type at the time. It was brand new, and it just looked so cool. Plus Jasmine from the Gold and Silver games with her Steelix. By God, that thing was broken as all hell. Just sandstorm after sandstorm after sandstorm. It was a tough Pokemon to fight for a little kid. And I think that's why I liked it so much. It was a challenge that I had to overcome. Especially since when I was a kid, I didn't really know how to save until I had gotten Ruby and Sapphire. And it was just amazing for me to play because on that one run, I had started off with Chikorita instead of Cyndaquil, which, if you don't really know this, Cyndaquil's kind of like easy mode on Gold and Silver, and Chikorita is probably hard mode. Totodile's normal, if I had to think about it. But, yeah. And it was always just a fun little run. Like, I couldn't help but think of it as that, and Steelix was a great challenge as a kid. Coming in at number 8 is Hitmontop. And Dual Barrel Roll is the perfect thing I can do to describe this Pokemon. It's a Pokemon Beyblade, which, as you guys know, I love Beyblade to pieces. And it was just amazing to see this as a thing. Like, it was just one of those things, know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. But Hitmontop being the third branch evolution of the Tyrogue line, with the whole family being Tyrogue, Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and Hitmontop, it was just kind of really unique to see it all together. And I don't know why, but I think when I was a kid I had this like Hitmontop toy that spun around with a ripcord as well, so I think that's what got me into Beyblade, probably. Just that and everything all together. So yeah, that's one thing I think. Number 7 on my list is Spinnerack, and let me be blunt, I am not a big fan of spiders in real life. I'm not. But Spinnerack was so freaking cute to me. It and its evolution Ariados. And Ariados was definitely a lot more sinister and evil as a kid for me, so I didn't really like it. But Spinnerack, I had seen it in the episode of the Gold and Silver anime, where Officer Jenny used it as one of the Pokemon to protect a mansion from a thief, I think? And from that point forward, I just always saw Spinnerack as like this little spider that helped out everybody, and I couldn't help but think of like, if I had a real life Spinnerack, would it help me like get candy or something? I don't know. I was a really weird kid. But Spinnerack was just one of those Pokemon where I loved it for what it was, and I would never change it for anything. That, and I had a Spinnerack toy as well, and it didn't really do anything special. It was just one of those like figurine toys that didn't really do anything. But I still love it to this day, and if I ever find that toy again, I'd probably just do an unboxing video for it, because I love Spinnerack so much. It's a huge part of my childhood. I can't repeat that enough. Coming in at number 6, the second bug type on this list, Heracross. Ash's Heracross makes me laugh so fucking hard, my stomach actually cramps up every time I see Heracross. And the way it interacted with Bulbasaur was amazing in the show, just amazingly funny. And the fact that it was so powerful compared to most of Ash's other Pokemon. And the fight with Shingo, I think his name was? Him and his Scizor versus Ash and his Heracross. That fight was just amazing, and I can't think of any other way to say it. It was just amazing. And now, number 5, speaking of Scizor, number 5 is Scizor. Scizor is on this list because I love red. I love the color red. Scizor is one of the damn coolest Pokemon out of Generation 2. Everybody agrees on that. It's like the Lucario of Gen 2, I would say. And I don't know what else to say other than the fact that Scizor is just a really cool Pokemon in general. It's the first Bug Steel type ever, or was Fortress. Anyway, it's one of the first Bug Steel type Pokemon. It has amazing stats, only had a weakness to Fire types, which in Generation 2 weren't all that common, and it was just a wicked strong Pokemon to use. And Scizor, I can't help but like. It was just one of those Pokemon where it was like, wow, I need this. It was hard to explain. But that's what Scizor was to me, and I can't thank it enough. I just like it a lot. Coming in at number 4 is the mascot of Silver, Lugia. Lugia and I go way back. I remember seeing the Pokemon 2000 movie in theaters. I remember seeing that as a kid. And a lot of people who went to see like the first movie in theaters will know what I'm talking about with this, but seeing a Pokemon movie in theaters is so much more different than just like renting out a VHS tape and watching it there, because it's so much of a different experience. It's hard to explain. But anyways, back to Lugia. Lugia was just amazing for me as a kid. It was the first legendary I ever caught, and if I could ever put that Lugia that I caught into Sun and Moon, I would in a heartbeat, because Lugia was just damned good for me. Like, I don't remember watching a Pokemon movie and thinking like, God, that legendary is so cool, before seeing Lugia. And I couldn't help but think that it was worth seeing, because Lugia was just that Pokemon, and everyone has that Pokemon. Anyone who has that Pokemon, you know what I'm talking about. And I don't know what else to say other than I just really enjoyed Lugia in gameplay and in the movies. Plus, the baby Lugia in the Gold and Silver anime. Aww. Coming in at number 3 is Noctowl. And not the ordinary Noctowl, but Ash's Noctowl. And I liked Ash's Noctowl because it was so strong compared to most ghost types, which, technically speaking, it didn't even have a strength advantage or disadvantage to. So it was amazing to see how well it worked against Morty's Haunter and Gengar. And out of all his bird Pokemon, Noctowl is probably the strongest one he's ever had, next to Talonflame and Staraptor. But any other one of the birds, yeah. It was just one of those amazing Pokemon to see, and the fact that it was the first shiny Pokemon I ever saw without knowing it was a shiny just had me thinking, like, wow, amazing. That sort of thought, know what I mean? But yeah, Noctowl's number 3 on my list for those reasons. And before we even get to number 2 and number 1, I just want to say something right now. These next 2 Pokemon were extremely hard for me to decide between. Extremely. And number 2 is Feraligatr. Feraligatr is literally Pokemon's alligator. And I loved alligators as a kid. Alligators were just amazing to me, and Feraligatr incorporated everything that I saw in alligators into real life. And the best way to put it is that they're strong, fast, and really good to use. All in all, I couldn't ask for a better thing out of a water-type Pokemon. Stupid phone can wait. Sorry about the phone ringing. There we go. And last but not least, number 1 out of Generation 2 is Typhlosion. And this was the big reason why it was such a tie between Feraligatr and Typhlosion, because I loved both Pokemon to death as a kid. I really did. And I always started off with Cyndaquil in Silver and Feraligatr in Gold, because I had both games as a kid. So it was just one of those things where it was like I had to decide between 2 amazing, funny, and cool Pokemon. And don't get me wrong, I like Meganium, but it's just nowhere near as cool as Feraligatr and Typhlosion. And I can't help but think that they squandered an opportunity with Typhlosion. I mean, come on. They literally gave it the exact same stats as Charizard. They removed the fire typing, made it have a unique move thanks to Quilava, and didn't even bother to change any of the stats. They literally just did a copy-paste. Granted, that was kind of a theme in Generation 2, but still, it didn't really help it much. But that's why those Pokemon are my favorites out of these generations. Like, Typhlosion was amazingly strong out of all the Pokemon that I ever had, because I never started off with Charmander as a kid. I was always Bulbasaur or Squirtle. And Feraligatr was just a more offensive Blastoise, and I liked it more, honestly. Other than that, there's nothing I can really say about these Pokemon other than they were just parts of my childhood that I'll never forget. Everybody has that one thing that they can never forget from their early years as a kid, and those 2 are my things from when I was a kid that I can never forget. But that concludes the lists. I'll be tackling Generations 3 and 4 in the next video, everybody. So please, let me know what you guys think are your favorite Pokemon out of the original 251 in the comments below. I let you guys know what mine were per generation, and I'm going to keep doing so. And when Sun and Moon drop on Thursday night, yeah, I'll be having a video of my favorite Pokemon from Generation 7 then. So with that said, let's get this Colosseum challenge thing all paid up for, the money, the TM, and we'll save here. So thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you liked the video, hit the like button, comment in the comment section with all your tips, tricks, all that shite. Subscribe if you're new, favorite the video if you want, but who the hell favorites these days? Next time, we're going to be tackling Generations 3 and 4, and we're going to be dealing with another group of Shadow Pokemon trainers. So with that said, thank you all so much for watching. This is Fox Rose, and I'm telling you all to rock and roll!